Therapy Army! Last by having you, Therapy Army. Welcome to United Real Therapy, people. How are we doing? The question today, the big question going to be asked. Let's see, hopefully, maybe we can provide you with some answers. But the big question is who's going to stop Man City dominating for the next decade? Because they're doing what they're doing. They've won 5 league titles in 6 years. It's an absolute disgrace. Pep Guardiola, Manchester City owners, and their football structure has turned the Premier League into Farmers League, mate. That's what we've become now. We've become the Farmers League because there's nobody out here, no football club that's putting up challenges to stop Man City. Big up to Tom. Tom, how you doing? How was it in cold Sheffield? Tell me it's been sunny today in Sheffield, bro. If you're in Sheffield, that is. Big up to you.
Yeah. Listen, big up as always, Nuruddin. And big up the community as always, people. So on your way in, give the video a like, subscribe as always, people. We're on the road to what we're on the road to now, Nuruddin.
10K, mate. 10K. Let's
10K
go.
road, man. Come on, let's get the grind going, people. Come on, mate.
Yeah,
so, big up.
Big up to everybody. You can already see at the thumbnail of this, man's exploring. Big up to Man UFC Realist TV. Big up to Mick Ruby for giving us a hand today to try to get that done. The thumbnail, mate. Thumbnail is me doing this. Who's gonna stop them? It ain't Jim the Ratcliffe and Glazers. That's not gonna stop Man City. Who's gonna stop Man City? Who's going to stop Man City? Big up to you, Tom. Talk to me. Listen, who's gonna stop them, Tom? Who's going? We don't like to talk about them because it's always about us, innit? But genuinely, I see Liverpool. Liverpool are going through a transition again, where they've lost majority of their players. They need to have a really good summer to come back in the game. Arsenal need another 300 million, I reckon, to spend. They need to get that strengthen up that spine and to get more players in bigger positions so they can rotate. Chelsea, we're not going to know who's going to happen. We don't know what Poch is going to do. We're not going to know that. And if they're going to go and strengthen even furthermore. But Manchester United, we can worry about ourselves. We've got an opportunity to stop them in the FA Cup final. I said we can beat them in a one-off game. Not anymore, mate. Not anymore, because what I'm watching from Manchester United is not a team that's going to stop Man City at Wembley. But go ahead, bro.
Yeah. Look, when we speak from a rival's perspective, albeit they are the noisy neighbours, you have to commend and you have to respect what they have done in the last 6 years. If you like, 5 league titles in 6 years is an amazing record, especially with the quality of the teams, the quality of the managers that we have in this league as well. And let's not forget, as well as in terms of the money that is in this league or was over those certain years. City, love it or hate it, they were fighting against teams that were making heavy investments. We, even with the Glazer family, we've made heavy investments just in the wrong areas, Nuruddin. Chelsea had the Abramovich money at the time that they were blowing, millions and millions of pounds into. Arsenal was still investing year in, year out. Liverpool used, as you said on Saeed's show, with Unstretched Podcasts, they used the analytics and they got the right profile of players which suited their system. So, effectively, you have had a lot of teams who, in the 6 years, they have competed or they've tried to compete with them, but the quality has just not been there. And look, when we have to say it for what it is. Manchester City, they have the best, I would say, football operators in the world. They have the best club structure and they have the best manager that is available in the world right now in Pep Guardiola. They have what Manchester United and what Gary Neville always considers the best in class. They have that. And love it or hate it, you've just asked me the question of who can pose a challenge to them. Honestly, in the last 4 to 5 years, maybe 3 to 4 years, I've only seen one club that has the track record and has proven that they can compete with them, and that is Liverpool. And really, it hurts to say that because those two clubs are the clubs that we have so much hatred for and rivalry with. But love it or hate it, people, this is the situation we are in. And love it or hate it, it's no fault of any fans, in the position that we're in. But Man United, mate, we're hoping and praying, and I know a lot of Man United fans are doing it. You're sitting there on Twitter, mate, refreshing every 5 minutes. Have they sold the club yet? Because nobody knows what's going on. But unless Manchester United, in terms of just speak about ourselves, unless we got a proper ownership who came in, and do you know what, Nuruddin? They come in, but they be ruthless. And what I mean by be ruthless is you remove you have a complete fresh start, and you start, if you like, start from scratch, as I would call it. If they have to use themselves and they have to come in and fill the roles in while they recruit people, similar to how Todd Bowley did. Honestly, yeah, I think in the short term we would take the pain if we got a couple of things wrong because they're getting into the role. But in the long term, if they appoint the right people in the right positions, I don't think a lot of us would complain, would we really?
Nope.
But the only thing I can say is, right now we have the best manager that we have had in the since Alex Ferguson left. I think a lot of people agree with that. The profile, the position that we're in, we're on. The projection is up, really, isn't it, Nuruddin? Let's be honest. The projection is up, but he needs help and support around him. And what I mean by that is, if a new owner comes in, I don't care if it's Sir Jim Ratcliffe or if it's the Qataris, I want them to come in and consult with the manager and say, right, we want to build a partnership, but we want a middleman we want two middlemen between us and you. And that is a new CEO and a football director. And out of those two, you will probably choose a sporting director because he will run the football operations with you. And we will choose the CEO to run the commercial side and the production and growth of Manchester United, which most likely will be a financial expert or somebody they've used like in business before. You know where I'm coming at. But in terms of clubs that can develop, we are a club that we can develop to challenge City, but we need money to back behind it. And love it or hate it, when people say about this Man United self-sustaining, where's this self-sustaining sentiment come from, mate? You cannot be self-sustaining when you are nearly £1 billion. You owe either clubs £1 billion, you're in debt £1 billion. You weigh that debt down on Manchester City Football Club. They wouldn't have had 5 league titles in 6 years, I guarantee you that. Because they wouldn't have bought half the players that they would have because of FFP. Liverpool are the exact same thing. If Liverpool were in our embargo and FSG dumped £1 billion on there, they wouldn't be singing for FSG out or anything like that. It's crazy, man. But at the end of the day, the only club that I see right now, in terms of as we speak right now, because we don't know the clarity of our own situation with the owners, the only club that has the track record and the proof that they can go the extra mile to take on Manchester City, even on the budget that they're on, is Liverpool. And it pains you to say it. Arsenal need a completely new midfield. Chelsea need a number 9 and a couple more midfielders. We need the scattergun. We need pretty much 5 or 6 players.
We need surgery. We need open heart surgery.
We need open heart surgery, as our Ralph said one day. Wreck-It Ralph. But look at it from the projection that we have. All of the clubs around us, love it or hate it, they actually have a football direction that they actually believe in. They have a football structure. Whether it's good, bad, piss poor, whatever you want to say, they have a football structure which is unified. Mikel Arteta, for example, he picked that he wanted a partnership with Edu as the sporting director, against what Stan Kroenke, Josh Kroenke, and all the guys wanted, because he wanted to go for they wanted to go for a familiar face, if you like. They wanted to go for something like a Paul Mitchell, somebody who has a bit of sentiment in the British League. But they went with what Mikel Arteta's recommendation was. So they have backed their manager. And like I say with us, we need to back our manager in what he wants, not just in players, but in terms of he has to have the say in the structure as well as what we're trying to do. But at the end of the day, other clubs are already 5-6 years ahead of us. Liverpool, 5-6 years ahead of us in terms of the analytics and how you use it in football. Not just because what the manager wants. Listen, Eric Ten Hag can sing his praises for Frankie de Jong all you want. If you can find a better player analytically that's better for the Eric Ten Hag system, and you put it to him, I think he'd be a fool not to listen to you. But the problem with us is John Murtough ain't that guy to do that sort of thing because he don't have the qualifications. Why?
Listen,
honestly, just as a final point, anyway, why do you think clubs like Brentford, in the position that they are, Brentford's owner is a multi-millionaire. He's not even a billionaire.
Not even a billionaire.
Multi-millionaire. Yeah. Why do you think a multi-millionaire can compete with some of the big boys in the league and still stay up regularly in the Premier League? Why do you think that is? Analytics in football. And analytics brought them Thomas Frank, and he brought them a lot of those players that they have now. And why? They consistently, analytically suit that style of system and their manager. Therefore, you put hand in hand, you come up with a treasure of gold, don't you? But listen, at the end of the day, competitively, Liverpool have the track record for it. And love it or hate it, people, we have to admit that.
100%. Saeed, man, like Pep Guardiola, they're the best world-class football structure, and their ownership on Man City have turned the league into a farmers' league. 5 out of the last 6. I mean, who's going to stop them? Who do you think that has got any ways of stopping them?
People can say it's a farmers' league, but ultimately, we've made it into that. United are a causation of that. Other teams are a causation of that because they've allowed them to be 5 years ahead. You know what I mean? We've allowed Man City to build ahead. When we were slowly, when Fergie announced his retirement, Man City were just almost coming out of their shells. They were, they won one league title under Mancini. Everyone knows that game.
They were building, weren't they, Saeed?
They were building, but United just almost said, you know what? When you kind of you look at a person, you think, no, I don't need to worry about him. You know what I mean? I don't need to worry about that guy over there. But we didn't take. We looked at him and we thought, noisy neighbours. Obviously, Fergie said noisy neighbours and whatnot, and that was almost kind of reminiscent of right now. Like it feels like that was so symbolic, that comment, that noisy neighbours, are almost like, as a clue to say, we just could chill right now. They're noisy, but we can chill, and we haven't built. Ed Woodward was at the forefront of so many bad decisions. And ultimately, we could call it a farmers' league, but we've made it that. We've given them the license to kind of keep going, given the license to build, restructure Old Trafford, restructure their side of Manchester, restructure the training ground. We've allowed them to build so many stuff ahead of us where we were already ahead of them. They can do that, and we're not going to control that. We're not going to stop that. But what we can do is do our own, and we've abandoned our stadium. We've abandoned our training ground. We've done literally everything that's opposite to Man City. And you can only blame yourself then. You can't really... it's difficult for me right now to be so... What's the word I'm looking for? Tribal. Like, a lot of people want me to be like, they've got empty seats. I get it. I understand that. But then when you get back to reality... I can't
say that today, Saeed. Even I can't say that today.
Exactly. When you get back to reality, though, you start to realize, hold on a minute. I can say all of that, but when I go back home, the roof's still leaking. You know what I mean? Like, everything's not well in the house. So if you haven't got your own house,
toilets flooding. The pipes are old. The pipes are old.
Exactly. Everything about Old Trafford, even last week, I don't know if you were there, and I don't know if you knew, but the lift at Old Trafford was broken. So the disabled people, I'm being serious. The lift at Old Trafford was broken. So they had to go use the different disabled in the other, the other side of Old Trafford. Yeah. They had to go there. So they had to make all the elderly people walk to E33 to fix, to basically use a lift.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So there's so much things that are just wrong at this football club. And this is like a small thing. When you go into the stadium, you start to realize, wow, what's going on here? And now they're trying to dross it up. Oh, we've got a bit of Wi-Fi now. Oh, but you don't realize, the first thing you do when you go on that Wi-Fi, it takes you to a page. Guess where it takes you to? The Man United Mega Store. And then you end up buying stuff on there. Generally, when you go on there, the first thing it does, it takes you to the Man United Mega Store. So when you actually look at the football club, it's run so badly that it's like we are our own problem. And unless we look at ourselves in the mirror, but the problem is we can't really look at ourselves. This is not down to the fans, by the way. This is down to solely the Glazers just bleeding us dry. You know what I mean? And to the point now where I can't lie to you, I don't think we're going to compete for the next year, 2 years, unless we get a new owner in. He has a plan. And then, you know what? I can be patient, say, right, okay, then. We're buying players. We're doing the right recruitment. It might take us 2 or 3 years to win a league title, but you can see there's a roadmap to that. Right now, there is no roadmap. And I tell you what, next season, if we don't have the right owner in, and we have Jim Ratcliffe, mate, good night Vienna, mate. Good night Vienna. Literally, like you say.
I swear to God, it's good night Vienna. It is. I'll stay with you, Saeed, and I'll ask you this question.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah. The biggest things that in terms of teams, who do you think other than Manchester United? Because we're out of the picture right now. Let's be blunt. We're out of the picture right now. Yeah. Do you think if Arsenal strengthen up 4 or 5 players, first team players to strengthen up that spine, do you think they can come back, especially just having options on the bench in terms of attacking and midfield positions? Do you think Liverpool are going to come back, or what do you think of the Chelsea situation? What clubs do you think can challenge Manchester City?
I think for me, with Arsenal, I think it's an issue with mentality. whether their mentality kind of goes down a little bit, whether, we kind of see them drop off in terms of the mentality. I think if they get the right level of players, like they're all looking to sign Declan Rice, they're looking to go and get Mason Mount. They're gonna buy like they're gonna add depth to their squad. I think that's what's missing this season as well. As long as the fact that they bottled it as well. Don't get me wrong with that one, but they were missing quality at the key times of the season. A centre back when they needed to replace Saliba with. If they do that like for like, they can challenge again. Not that they're going to win the league, but I'm not sure about that. Liverpool, for me, if they have a proper summer window with Jurgen Klopp, listen, we can for all we've chatted about Jurgen Klopp and one Premier League title, we can respect that he's still a top manager. And I think you know what it is with their crowd. They have that belief, and I still think they've got that, that energy around the club. They still got the energy of, like they don't feel like they've got no hope. Whereas with our fan base, there's a lot of apathy. They still got hope in their fan base. They still got, we go and buy proper players with Jurgen Klopp and the infrastructure and, their training ground. They still got a good training ground. They still got, directors and members on the board. They can still, there's always something coming back into it. Whether that's an influx of money somewhere, I don't know. Somewhere, somehow, Liverpool always seem to kind of turn it around. With Chelsea, I think for me, it's about getting the right manager, really. Let's be honest. Like, when they get the right manager, they'll be able to click. And now they've got that in Pochettino.
Yeah.
Let's see what they do. They could surprise everyone. They could either flop again next season or be absolutely charged the title race, blow everyone over, win the first 10 games, and when you just win your first 10 games, you just blow everyone over. They could do that, and then obviously then Man City try and break in. And the next week, they win Chelsea by, let's say, comfortably 10, 15 points ahead of everyone. Yeah. So that could happen. Tottenham, let's be honest, the history of the Tottenham don't make it possible. I think Brighton will be in around there, but if you talk about United, no, not really. I just think it's either a crazy season from Chelsea or Liverpool getting their act together and financing proper midfielders in, getting a couple of maybe key areas in, and then they're there back again because they've got the depth. When you look at their squad, they've got Gakpo on the bench, Jota, they've got who else was on there?
the attack. The attack's set up for the next 5 years. Let's be honest.
Exactly.
Like, they've replaced every part of that front three. They've got Diaz, Jota, Gakpo. They've still got Harvey Elliott who can play there. Like, they've got the spine of the attack that can set them for the next 5 years. The goalkeeper, well, Alisson's not going to change anytime soon, is he? So we can save for that. The midfield's what's crucial now because they have players who are either past their best or they're on the sell-by date. Like Fabinho's, Henderson's, Milner's obviously leaving. So,
but Tom, let me ask you a question.
They need three.
Tom, they've said this season we're prioritising midfielders and we're buying three. They've not come in and said we're getting one. They've come in and said we're getting three.
And we need three. And we need three, Saeed.
And we need three.
Yeah. The only problem is though we don't have anywhere. The only problem with that is Liverpool. At least we can say with them, they have two priorities out of the four of the whole team complete. Like they have the complete goalkeeper they need, and they have the complete attack that they need. The only things that are really the problems with Liverpool is the midfield that they need to replace, and then also potentially some of the defenders because of the age. But whereas with us, where can we honestly say in our team that we are ticked off? Because we haven't got a brilliant attack that scores consistently week in, week out. We haven't got the youngest midfield in the world. That's why we need to sign younger players for the midfield. Casemiro's over 30, Eriksen's over 30, Bruno's pushing towards the 30s. Like, we don't have the youngest midfield in the world. And in terms of the defence, like the spine of the defence, like Luke Shaw, I think he's coming closer to 30 than he is 25. You still have players who aren't developed in the position that they are, whether it be Wan-Bissaka and Delot. Varane's too inconsistent with the injuries. So suddenly, and we already know with David De Gea, like the uncertainty around what's happening with him, performance or contract, whatever. But, as I've just said, through all of our team, we are not complete in any area whatsoever. Not even the goalkeeper's the complete player that we need for the style of football. Love it or hate it. But overall, when you override it against our competitors, well, Liverpool have two of them priorities already sorted out of the four. Arsenal, you would say, even have maybe one or two of those priorities. The defence isn't, the worst in the world at Arsenal, albeit they concede goals. More time playing together and more getting used to the system. as a group, and from
Yeah.
the experience that they've had, missing out on the top four and then the title, it will better and it will strengthen them. Ramsdale's going to be there for the next 5-6 years. We already know that as the goalkeeper. So our rivals, some of them, already have priorities in place where they don't need to look at the whole squad and think, well, we need something here, we need something there, we need something everywhere. Man United, Erik ten Hag looks at this squad and thinks, has anything really changed since the summer? Like, he brought in what? I think he brought in 4 or 5 players, didn't he? Like, you bring in 4 or 5 players, you would think
You got to remember though.
You would think that'd be half of your squad.
But
Like,
there's context to that, Tom. Should I tell you the context to that? Lisandro Martinez, Arsenal were that close to signing him, and we were that close to missing out. It was only because
we wanted Timber. That's why.
Yeah, we wanted Timber as well. So let's look. This transfer window needs a bit of context, when you actually deep it. Anthony was it's true though, because a lot of people say, "Oh, he's got what he wanted."
He didn't.
No, he didn't.
Exactly. And then you look at the Anthony situation. My word, it should have been about 30 million at max here. We got shagged. We got absolutely done over. 9 million. It is what it is. And then he wanted Rabiot. He didn't get Rabiot. He wanted De Jong. He didn't get De Jong. He then fumbled up on Casemiro. Let's be honest. No United fan knew that Casemiro would come into Man United. No one knew that he was that sort of player that he wanted. Yeah, that happened there. You've got a situation with Ronaldo situation and whatnot. That kind of I don't know what the word is here, but it just
it forced his hand. It forced them into the market to get somebody rather than nobody, didn't it?
Exactly. Then you've got the situation with Chris Eriksen. That was a free transfer as well. Then you got the situation with what's that player that we were in? Arnautovic. He wanted Arnautovic, and then obviously the situation with the whole racist. Was it racist remarks he made or something like that? Yeah, that came out. Then Man United obviously went into to that mode of saying, you know what, okay, cool, we're not going to get in.
Protect the brand.
Yeah, exactly. They disturb the brand and whatnot. We're not going to get him. So when you actually look at the context of the old transfer window, like, it has been absolutely, like, it could have been so much better. Like, genuinely, and it's been led by different things not falling into place to then act upon that situation.
Yeah, but Saeed, do you think the cause of what you've just said was because they wasted so much time trying to get his priority, which we know was Frankie de Jong?
Yeah.
They spent so much time trying to get that for 3 months that it was a knee-jerk at the end where we thought, well, we haven't got what he originally wanted, so what's the next best thing that you want? Oh, I want Anthony. Oh, I'd rather get a midfielder, a world-class quality midfielder in Casemiro than nobody.
Yeah.
Like, it was almost shit or bust, really, wasn't it?
That's what I'm saying. But that don't happen at any other club. And we're looking at Man City. They have a target. Jack Grealish, they go and get him. They have a target in what they want. They go and get him. Haaland, they didn't mess around. They went and got him. I'm saying to you right now, if Laporte leaves Man City, I guarantee you they go and get Gavardio. I'm telling you right now. Laporte leaves the football club. They're going to get Gavardio. I'm telling you right now, people, and it'll probably cost you about 80 million pound. They go and get him. And if you look at their net spend, I know people say net spend is not a good measurement for success and whatnot, but it just shows you as well, net spend is how good they sell as well.
Yeah.
When we sell, what's our spend? What is our selling point? Like, if we sold Sancho now, I tell you what, we'd make a loss of, I don't know, 40 million.
Say, let's be real though. The only thing, just to give you context to what you just said there, when we sell players, we don't throw players out of the door when they've been past their best, they've given us what they can, and then they go on elsewhere. We don't ever do that. That's the problem with us.
Yeah.
And you can say the same thing for last summer. I think, did we have like 6 senior players left the squad last summer? Cavani, including the Cavani's and all, if you like, the shite that we just had drifting around for 6 months. But the problem with what you've just said there anyway, Said, where Man United can put these and list these players on the markets, but we don't ever get the interest for our players. Hence,
no, we don't.
Even when we are like, how can I say, when we have players who are settled and we know that they are permanent sort of players, whenever do you hear a club tries to come in for one of our players? Like, it just doesn't happen. That's the problem what I'm trying to get at, because love it or hate it, people, there is sentiment in the world of football. For example, in the next 2-3 years, I would be shocked if a Real Madrid or a Barcelona, a club like that, came for one of Man United's best players. Why do you think that is? You'd never have a club like that come for your players because they're not that sought after players.
Yeah.
And even
No,
like
Tom, what we do, listen, what we do with players that we buy players who are average on the huge wages, and then it's very difficult for us to get rid of them because you're not supposed to meant to get rid of them because it's all about the spreadsheet. That's Glazonomics. That is Glazonomics because it's all matters on the spreadsheet. The only two players that Manchester United made money on this season, the past couple of years, was Dan James who wanted to get out of here. No, Dan James who wanted to, they made money on. We lost money on Di Maria.
We lost money.
No, we lost money. Yeah.
So it's Dan James and
we
Chris
lost money on
Smalling.
Lukaku as well.
And Chris Smalling, who both of them wanted to get out of here. Both of them were like, I'm done out here.
Chris Smalling, we still bought for 10 million. So we still lost money on him.
I think
we made a little bit. I think we made about 4 or 5 million.
Yeah,
4 or 5 million. Okay,
the only problem though with what you've just said then, where you said with Chris Smalling, he wanted to go because he wanted to play regularly. We're going to have a situation in the summer where it is going. We know it's going to be Maguire or Lindelof that leaves, really. And for me, if you're looking on the base of the performances that we've seen in the last 6 weeks, I think a lot more clubs are going to have a lot more interest in Victor Lindelof than they will Maguire, especially from if you're talking European clubs. Lindelof, I don't think would find it hard to settle in Italy, for example. Whereas Harry Maguire, I think he's going to struggle to attract them sort of clubs.
Yeah.
Love it or hate it, it might be brilliant in Serie A because of the speed, but he's more.
It's not marketable though. It's not marketable.
He's marketable in terms of England because he's an England international, and that rings around a lot of clubs. When you have the FA, when you have your caps for England, 20 or however many you have, when you have the caps beside of your name, it does weigh down on a lot of British clubs to look at you and think we have a little bit of sentiment towards a British profile player because A, if he plays regular for England, he must be decent, and B, he probably will have resale value if it doesn't work for us. But this is the problem, and this is the conundrum that we have. We have a lot of our players who we might want to keep just on the stockpile, on the stock market, who's a brilliant backup player, like a Wan-Bissaka, like a Lindelof. But if these players turn around to Erik ten Hag and say, well, if you can't guarantee me to play permanently or first-team football, then I wish to go elsewhere. Do you know what? You have to respect players like that. Because love it or hate it, they're the sort of players that you should want at your football club, who desire to play week in, week out, whether it be at Man United or somewhere else. And if they think that they can get that football somewhere else rather than at Manchester United, then do you know what? Good luck to them. Because they're the sort of players who we shouldn't let go of.
But
we should keep and fight to get them to stay here.
But Tom,
necessary.
But let me ask a question to Tom, though. But when you look at certain players, when they're comfortable and they're not playing games, I'm not lying to you. A lot of the fan base are giving Bailly too much of a certain times I'm looking at him and think, where's the ambition to kind of move on now? You don't want to, I know he's gone on loan to Lyon, but he's happy because he's on a good wage, man. That's what happens though. When you put players on a good wage early on, there's no urge to kind of move on. Whereas you see Man City now, they're not on mega wage. Edison, I think he's on 80 grand a week. 80 grand a week.
Yeah. The only problem is though, a lot of those players that Manchester City sign, they the way that Manchester City structure their contractual agreements with players when they bring them in is they'll give them, say, a medium wage. It's not the best wage in the world, but it's not the worst. They'll meet them in the middle, but then they'll say, we'll increase your wages based upon your performances and your reliance in the team. So, for example, if the manager gives you 20 plus appearances, we'll increase your wage by a quarter of what the percentage is, something like that. Yeah. And Manchester City's the way that they work the structure and they work the numbers out, it balances it out. So every player, roughly, based on performances, earns the same until they sign a new contract. So, for example, when KDB was there, any of the new players that were being brought in at the same time, like your Bernardo Silvas and these sort of players, they're roughly earning the same, albeit not based on salary.
They get bonuses, though. They get winning bonuses.
That's what I mean. They get bonuses based on the performances. But Man United, we don't do that. And this is the problem where...
And we also know from the way they were cooking the books, we don't know how much they run these players actually, because we saw it how they cooked the books with Mancini. They gave Mancini 2-point-something million or 1-point-something million for coaching a team in Dubai for 6 days a year. So we don't know what they're doing, like how much they're like messing around with the books. But let me just go to Saeed. Saeed, listen to this.
Yeah.
Khalees puts on here, and I'll come to you with the same question, Tom.
Yeah.
6 to 8 teams will be going for top 4 next season, and Manchester United in that.
That's exactly what I said yesterday, you know, and I think I said it on the podcast as well. Like, it's not only just us. I think Brighton is going to be in there. I think for me, you've got Aston Villa, who now are starting to emerge. They're even looking at Barcelona's director of football. All of a sudden, it kind of, I think they missed out in the end. I think he's staying now. But Unai Emery will bring in that kind of, you know, I don't know what the word is here, but he'll come in and bring in that continental style. He'll bring in some of more of his own identity this season. You'll start seeing people like Villarreal centre-back Pau Torres that Man United were linked with a couple of years ago, playing at centre-back. Like, I genuinely think now it's getting scary how the league now, the players that we're thinking that will come to Man United might not come to Man United, you know. I genuinely think...
What Manchester United say? A club that's unsure. I mean, listen, Ten Hag gave the most honest interview before the Brighton game, and then a week later comes out and tells you, I've been, you know what? The players want to join Manchester United. I'm like, that's the biggest PR. How can you go from that contrast a week later then coming out and saying, oh yeah, we've made plans? What plans?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Exactly. And I think ultimately, you know, just to kind of like reiterate on that point is that, you know, we're not making transfers until the new owners come in. You know what I mean? If them new owners are coming in right now, like what has Ten Hag? He's got to relate all of his, what he wants, his philosophy. He has to relate everything that he told the Glazers in that interview. And that was a long interview, by the way. Do you remember that process that Ten Hag had? He didn't trust the Glazers. He took a long while, you know, with them Glazers to kind of reassure that this is his plan. So now he's got to do that whole situation with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. I know there's John Myrtle there and he can be the middleman, but I don't trust him one bit, mate. And Ten Hag won't trust him as well because of the fact that the way how he was, you know, kind of been dealt with it this summer. You know what I mean? I'm sure Ten Hag will be looking at people and say, you know what? I don't trust this guy, to be honest with you. I don't really kind of get what you're doing. So there'll be that element of mistrust from a lot of people that Ten Hag has. So I feel like for me, next season, there's going to be more competition for every situation, like top 6, top 8, everything, man. Like, let's not kid ourselves.
Science not even that, right? Listen, the title of the show is How Can We Swap Man City? Manchester United at this moment in time do not know who's going to own the football club. If the Rats with the Ratcliffe are going to stay with the 2 Rats, or who's going to take over the football club, if it's going to be Qatar. We don't know that yet. Stephen Mensa said the Glazers could easily be cooking the books. Yeah, they cook the books to take money out of the football club. They don't cook the books to benefit the club, do they?
They just took out money this weekend and the Carabao Cup final. So they're doing it. They're doing it in our faces. And they're doing it, you know what I mean, again, to the women's team who they decimated in 2005. Mate. And like I said, they've took 25%. Was it 25% of the women's salaries?
35%.
35%. You know what I mean? But then he has the audacity to come in and be like, oh, well done, girls. Well done.
By the way, they've had an amazing season. Big up, Listen, big up, because they're the only team representing Manchester United in the last decade take a title challenge to the last game. They're the only football club. The only football team representing the Manchester United Red Tom that have took a league title, right, to the last day. To the last day. And honestly, they were also in the FA Cup final as well, where they lost 1-0 and they were by far the better team. Yeah, they were by far the better team. So, Tom, if you're a football player, if Saeed is a football player, if I'm a football player, I'm looking at the situation. Would I be talking to Manchester United, or am I going to listen to Arsenal, who just had a brilliant season, other than the last, 5 games they bottled it, right? And Liverpool, who have been the only team, like you said, to challenge City in the last 5-6 years, or Newcastle, where they've got a brand new adventure. Are you going to come to Manchester United? Are you going to choose Manchester United over that, where nothing's going to happen, where we don't know what's going to happen? And now, furthermore, we're hearing the Glazers are now saying, "Well, we're going to just wait." If you're a player, Tom, who are you going to? Who you going to talk to? Who you going to allow your agent, your representative to talk to? I think Tom might be gone, but listen, Saeed.
Yeah, Tom might be gone,
yeah. Answer the question, Saeed. Who?
Yeah.
If you're a football player, who are you going to talk to?
Well, you're going to talk to people who have something in stepping stone right now, who have a plan, who have a director of football, who have an owner, who have, they have a situation going. They have the McAllister's gone to Liverpool because he knows there's a plan for Liverpool to win the league next season. You know that? He probably knows about the project about Liverpool. He probably knows that this is going to be the team next season. Why would you come when you've got Man City on your doorstep and they're going to potentially as well? But he's going to have a prominent role. He wants to be the leader. He doesn't want to be a bit part player. He wants to be the leader of that Liverpool dynasty. He wants to be part of that Liverpool challenge to win the league and Champions League. And he knows there's a heritage in that club. He knows that there's a club that adores that the fans adore the players, and he sees the cop end, and he sees the history of Liverpool. He knows that. Let's not kid ourselves. He sees him being the main guy in Liverpool. So that in itself, for me, is something that he's looking at. And I think ultimately, right now, Nuruddin, the only way we're going to prize out players is wages as well. Ten Hag knew the players that he brought in. So you can't really say that's on the club. But wages have been a massive reason why they've come to the club. Sancho's a big reason why as well. He getting 350 grand a week as a package. You think he's going to any other club? Liverpool wanted him. He would have went to Liverpool if it wasn't for Man United coming in with the wages.
And this is it. So we have no discipline. We don't have any wage structure. For me, when you win so many games, you should have, when you score or contribute to assist goals, you should, or when you have man of the matches or player of the month in the Premier League, that should give you $500,000. There you go on top of your wages. You should be able to get these type of bonuses as it should be incentivized on performances, but we don't.
But then that's the way to get you on a contract, though. You have to make sure you put it in as part of the package in it before you've kicked a ball. So it is a case of when you're halfway through the season, you then make up an incentive. That's not how it works, unfortunately. But for a football club to do that, it's quite damning. It's quite sad that we have to put a big wage package for players to come in. Like Rashford now, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Is he worth 300 grand a week?
No chance. Nobody is, Saeed. Nobody is.
But that's not saying to you. But this football club,
especially when you're not winning, especially when you're not performing.
Exactly. But the thing is, if people are saying to me, "Oh, but you're going to lose your best player," bro. For me, if I know this football club is on a good wage structure, it's not as if we're losing Casemiro, is it? We're not losing a world class player, are we? We're not losing a player like Lisandro Martinez, who's been the staunch of our what he weighs, and it's also he fits the style of play. We could get another Marcus Rashford, and that's not the biggest point, by the way. I'm not trying to damn Marcus Rashford, but I am also thinking about 300 grand a week for a player who, let's be honest, man, for me, he don't deserve that. Like, if you look at it from the grand scheme of it, so as a structure-wise, he don't deserve 300 grand a week. He don't. This is my own opinion. And people say, oh, well, but right now, we've not earned that success as a football club to be offering that. That's where my mentality comes in. If we're winning trebles and we're winning titles, by all means necessary, give the players what they want. But you can't you can't give a purpose for Man United to thrive on when you're giving players, 300 grand a week. Here you are.
Saeed, what I always tell you, Tom and Saeed, I always tell you fish frogs from the head. £700,000, $750,000 he spent from flying to Qatar, flying to Wembley twice on a private jet. So do you know what I'm saying to you? Do you know what I'm saying to you? When there's no discipline in a football club, if the owners are going on like that, are we going to moan and say the players shouldn't get it? Because the Glazers are getting it. At least the players go out there and sweat a bit and go on the football pitch.
There you go.
So listen, I'll say, and listen, we're going to move on to the next topic, but I'll say this quick, simple. I'll get from you, Saeed. Who's going to challenge City next season? Who you bang?
I think for me, it'll be Liverpool. It'll be Liverpool for me. Liverpool. I think Liverpool will challenge City. I think Chelsea will be there somehow. I think, and then you know what? It's a struggle, man. You got to remember, guys, this season, Chelsea and Liverpool missed out on top 4. You think that's going to happen next season?
No chance.
And who's going to be the fall guy? I just know it. It's Man United. I will somehow just back my team to say, you know what? Top 4. I'll just say it like, as a gesture, but reality deep down, I genuinely don't.
There's no confidence.
no confidence in that. I'm just going to say it for the sake of it. But in reality, what I really think, nah, man, I don't, because they've missed out this season, and we've gone in there. But if you're being really honest with you, we've had bad results. We've been more consistent, and we deserve it. But
home record has been good. Away we've been dreadful.
And hopefully we can get a balance next season. But I also think that Liverpool and Chelsea will be back. Tottenham, if they play one game a week, if they miss out on Europa League football and Conference League, which they could do, you could have Chelsea and Tottenham playing once a week. That for me is massive. Then you got Newcastle, big up Alpha. You got Newcastle, who I think for me will go stronger and stronger next season with better players. So you've got 3 clubs there that are fighting for positions for the next 2. That's added to Brighton, who I think will be there in and around there. So if you don't act now, we've got it in here by the genius of Ten Hag and the way he's kind of been consistent at home and been consistent in the games where we thought, we might lose points last season. Fair play to Ten Hag for sorting out a season of getting possibly 3rd, getting an FA Cup possibly, and winning the Carabao Cup. It's a very, very good first season. But second season is where people remember you, because it's like you then need to push on. Nobody will remember the season beforehand, because people will say, oh, well, okay, but what did you build it on? Did you build on that? Everyone will look for that season when it happens. And I don't want him to be embarrassed, man. He's a good guy, man. He's a good guy.
100%.
He's a good manager. He's a good tactician.
Listen, Tom, quickly, I'll go to you before we change it. Who's going to give me one word? Is it Liverpool for you as well? Because that's the history we're going on is Liverpool, because Liverpool have been the only ones who's running them close. Liverpool went to 3 Champions League finals in the last, 6 years? 3 Champions League finals.
The only, Liverpool are the main one for me, but I'm kind of in the same boat as what Saeed's in, and I hear what he says about Chelsea, but I think Chelsea will take time to adapt to Pochettino, is what I'm saying. So I think the first season should probably be a misfire for Chelsea. If they got the right investment in and they sorted the midfield out, for me, I don't think this Arsenal team is that far away consistently, because Mikel Arteta's in the situation where he has a brilliant starting 11, but he has a piss-poor bench of mediocre players to choose from. And really, it's the same situation that Ten Hag's in. The starting 11 for a majority of the season, barring the blips that we've had in the games that we've not been consistent in, probably after Wembley, up to Wembley, I don't think a lot of people were complaining, but really, because we were still working miracles with rubbish. But the drop-off in quality wasn't there. Whereas with Arsenal, if they get that, like you said, I still think they need like a £300 billion investment. I'm not going to like...
No, 100%. No, 100%. 100% they do. Listen, 100% they do.
But if they get that,
and that's why I said...
If they get that investment, then...
They need a bench.
They could be there up there. They need a bench, that's it.
They need a bench. Saeed, I'm going to go to you about Vinicius Jr. Vinicius Jr. got racially abused again. He got put on a chokehold. And to add insult to injury, he then got a straight red card. Yesterday. I mean, how much racism has this kid dealt with? I think in the past couple of years, 8 times he's been singled out. What even adds insult to further injury is the fact that the La Liga president is coming out for him, saying that you missed the meetings, you don't understand, you're being manipulated. And then the commentators on Spanish television are also saying he's a troublemaker. He deserves it because he said that Valencia going down. Now, there are so many words in the English language to use to harass players, to make players uncomfortable, to go up. But to choose the monkey body motion, right, and to call him a monkey as a black person, he can't get any lower than that. Any lower than that. So people are saying he should come to Manchester United. People don't remember how man like Paul Pogba was getting treated. Paul Pogba
I think it's very. I don't like that though when people do that to kind of gain. You know what I mean? I don't know. It goes away from the point we need to discuss, man. I don't really like that whole situation where people say, "Oh, come to United" and whatnot. Like we need to focus on the issue, and that's the racism, man. But for me, the La Liga president, this is not the first time, by the way, he said this sort of situation. Like he's done it time and time again. Yeah, he's done it countless times. He's an absolute corrupt individual who, like I said to you, man, all of La Liga want him out, by the way. It's not just Real Madrid. Barcelona want him out. Everyone wants him out. Yeah. So for me, where it needs to start is that La Liga teams need to come together and say to him, we have no confidence in you. They need to have a no vote confidence in this owner, the La Liga owner. And also with the Vinny situation, man, like it happens a lot in what you call it in Spain, man. It's sad. And by the way, it does happen everywhere. We're not going to say it's only just Spain.
It happens
It's everywhere.
here, mate.
Italy,
Yeah, it
We
happens
saw
here.
it. We saw it.
It happens at
Italy
home,
as
doesn't
well
it?
with Lukaku. You know, in the UK as well, it happens as well. I remember Raheem Sterling a couple of years ago. But ultimately, I always say with this situation here is that there has to be a level of precedent of how do the authorities deem racism? Is it high up on their agenda? And I think for me, it's not. That's where the problem is. They see betting as something that is more serious than
The
racism.
racism. This is
And when you kind of go to that level, that's when you know, will it ever be tackled? And that's a sad reality.
Because
It's that
Sa-
everything,
Sa-
it's money. It's not involved. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Betting,
Yeah.
you're then dealing with sponsors because sponsors will look at, hold on a minute, why is he betting on games when we meant to be your partner? We're Sky Bet. How are you
8
letting a
months.
guy
I can't believe it. Tony got 8 months.
8 months and he can't train apparently? He can't play football anywhere.
He can't train till
yeah.
Is it January? No, it's pre-season, can't it?
Pre-season, and also he can't play for another club. They're trying to ban him, so he can't play. Exactly, another one. Illegal streams get taken down. Copyright gets taken down. Everything gets taken down before racism. All these monkey emojis that you see on Instagram. When you go on Instagram and you use social media, you then report it, but then it's like you're speaking to a bot. So the bot can't understand. Yo, I've been racially abused here. Can you help me? He's saying, oh, check the terms and conditions and maybe, do this and report it this way and this. Yeah. And I'm like, bro, are you all right? Like, and this is the problem. If it's not sorted out from the deep-rooted issues, it will never sort it out. And Eto said it a few years ago, man. Sometimes you got to take a stance and say, you know what, we're not playing today. We're not playing. Nobody's playing today. And maybe they might, when it hurts their pockets, it will then affect everything else. But until you do that, and you then maybe keep going, it's like when people say about the situation about the protests and whatnot, like, we want the owners out, but maybe we're giving them a lot of money. So it works every single way. There's a solution, but it's sad, man, but it's a reality of situation where I just know.
You know what hurt me yesterday? I don't know. Did you do the watch along? Sorry, were you doing the watch along?
No, not the Real Madrid one, but I was watching Man City game.
Basically, I saw him crying. He's 22 years old, Sati. 22 years old. And he's taking on the whole country and races. And to me, what I loved about his statement, he basically said, yeah, you're a racist country. And the league is racist. Like, plain and simple, Tom. Plain and simple. He spills it out. 22-year-old is carrying the whole pressure of playing for Real Madrid. Turned himself to be one of the best young players, one of the best players in the world. And then he has to go and deal with this. And then here we goes. Look, Javier Salas, Valencia spokesman. What Finney Jr. did was disgusting. You can't gesture the whole stadium to relegation. Like comparing him getting monkey chants to him saying you're getting relegated.
Yeah, but it's a spokesperson though, isn't it? So he's been propped up by, the president or the sporting director. Like, that's just the person who has to come out and say what other people are afraid to say, and they hide behind people to say. We know that with our own owners, don't we? Like, put something out via Sir Alex Ferguson's name or attachment or something like that, and it brings a bit of pressure off of what you're actually saying. But look, at the end of the day, just on my point anyway, with what happened with Vinicius Junior. Look, the Premier League, they set up like a mini little campaign, wasn't it? Where it was like was it like a 4-week or 3-week like blackout? They had like a social media blackout where all the football players, they did it as like a solidarity as a group. They didn't tweet, they didn't post, they didn't do anything until the social media organisations got in contact via the Premier League, and they stated it. And the Premier League were doing it with like no room for racism, Black Lives Matter, the taking the knee and things like that. The sentiments were being put out there. But whenever you played a European team and you did the solidarity for that in their country, they used to boo you for it. It doesn't matter where you used to go. You used to go to Spain. You used to go to Italy. You used to go wherever because they didn't believe in that sentiment. But certain players and personnel did. And that's the only thing that you can respect in terms of that. Unless you've been there and been through it, don't dare try and criticise people for not. And that's the only thing that I will say in terms of what the presidents are saying, what the journalists are saying, and what all the other people in the press room are saying. If you don't take a stand, and Carlo Ancelotti did the best thing possible that a manager can do.
A big up Ancelotti, by the way. But I think
he
should have gone more further.
Yeah, big up Ancelotti.
I think he should have gone a lot further, and he should.
I think he should have took. I think he should have took his team off the pitch.
Yeah,
I think he should have done that.
Well, who was it? I think Southgate did it, didn't he? Or he was planning on doing it for the Bulgarian.
Southgate, was it? Yeah.
But he made the instead because he was planning on him and Steve Holland. They were planning on pulling the whole team off of the field when they were in Bulgaria, but instead of pulling the whole team off, the protocol that was in place by the Bulgarian FA was that they have to make an announcement first, and then if it continues, you can pull them off. So they'd already signed the agreements pre-match.
1 minute, Tom. Tom, just hold it there. Windy, I've already said what you're saying. Saeed, I don't think, please just don't understand what Saeed's saying. Saeed's saying if this club has been successful, we don't ask about what players get paid. We're talking about giving players contracts where a club is being unsuccessful, and then we're signing players on those wages that we can never get rid of because nobody else is going to take them. So we're talking about in terms of recruitment in and out. We're not saying that Rashford doesn't deserve it. I made the point clearly that $750,000 he spent over on grand flying to Qatar, flying to London twice on a private jet. So, everybody's wasting money. So at least, like I said, at least a player got us on the pitch, at least runs around a bit. But nobody's watching what Rashford earns. We're talking about the larger points about Manchester United signing players, average players on high wages, and then not being able to get rid of those players because nobody wants to buy them and nobody's ever going to give them that amount of wages.
Yeah, exactly. But as you just said there anyway, Nuruddin, with the actual sort of structure around the club, that gets set from the owners who come in. And you know the best thing about it, right? Watch how Everton will do it. Because Everton are rumoured to be getting taken over by MSB Partners, for example, an American investment group. Whether they finance Mishiri or they buy the whole football club or his majority shares, when they do that, those Everton players will be under structural guidelines. And what I mean by that is they'll get paid based on performance, not on their personal contract. And that is how you run a football club. The way these people run it, and our football club especially, is they run it on a contract, on a player-player basis. And when you have a player-player basis, suddenly you look at Jadon Sancho and you think, if you're a young player in this squad, and a Garnacho, for example, and you look at someone like Jadon Sancho and think, how can he be on £300,000 plus per week? And I'm barely scraping, I think he was on a 15 grand minimum youth player contract at the time, but he wanted 60 and the club weren't prepared to give him it. Based upon what?
But Tom, I'm not going to lie to you. I think it's even deeper than that. Thomas Said, I think it's deeper than that. And you know what it is? I think Manchester United give so much wages because it's like because we're all linked to these financial instruments that they're using. So the more money you pay, the better it is for them for doing banking deals and stuff like that. I'm telling you.
No, it's crazy. I mean, it's your value. Yeah. If that player is valued at that price, and then later on for the share prices, it increases everything. You know what I mean? And obviously, marketing wise, some players we get, it's based off market as well. Like Rashford, Sancho. We've had Pogba before. We've had so many players which they're quite actually marketed. Look at the way Sancho was doing the piano and all that. Like some players that's what they do.
100%. Listen, 100%. But I don't want to get mad. I want to bring it back to the Finnish Junior. Listen, shout out Rio Ferdinand. Rio Ferdinand is not no friend of this channel, right? We call him out with his glazer advertising, brand protection BS. We call him out. But to be fair, he called it out. I just genuinely do think, Saeed and Tom, that if a player gets racially abused, you have to walk off the football pitch. And then we'll see if his own teammates, and the other players on the opposition side will back him up and walk off the football pitch. I think that's the only way they're going to get it. Spanish culture, racism, casual racism. I've been there before, Saeed. I remember my friends went years ago, and they were like quite runners. They were going jogging, like for they went jogging, and people like elderly men were doing monkey chants at them from no reason.
Yeah,
It happened to me, but I'm not saying not all of Spain. Racism is everywhere. It's not
Racism's
all of
everywhere,
Spain.
yeah.
It's not everybody in Spain is racist. But
It's a minority, man.
listen, but unfortunately, Vinicius Junior is targeted because he's a dark-skinned black man as well. He's a dark-skinned black man.
Yeah.
So, and plus he's a good player, so they think how we're gonna. But it's not banter. Racism is not banter.
No,
it's
but
not.
that's what the La Liga guy is trying to paint it out to be. Like he's trying to make it an excuse for that reason. You know.
I mean, La Liga commentator said we should always stand with Vinicius against racism, but we also should say Vinicius' behavior is not perfect. Sometimes he provokes other teams. Well, what do you want me to do? Provoke other teams? Why is he going? How is he provoking?
He's trying to excuse them, though, man. He's trying to excuse them, man.
By dancing.
There shouldn't be a button here. There shouldn't be a button here.
Yeah, guys, look at who he works for, though. Look at who he's employed to work.
Yeah, La Liga TV. Yeah, you're
La
right.
Liga TV, which probably has some deals, sponsorship. It has the TV rights with La Liga and La Liga president, who said basically ignore what's happening. We're trying to root the racist problems in La Liga and how it operates and stuff. But the problem is, you can say all you want, you're trying to do it, but you're not stating it's a priority. We're looking at it as a high priority issue. But the only thing that a lot of football organisations do and governing bodies is they take the incidents that happen from game by game, they then sum them up when they get to the summer, and then they assess everything that's happened from there. But because you were assessing it at the end of the season, what action can you take against a club where an incident happened 3 months ago?
But Tom, it's even deeper than that. It's even deeper than that. Apparently, when they took the thing to court, in Spanish court, there's no anti-racism law. But hold tight, Xavi, by the way. Hold tight, Xavi.
I don't know about that.
No. That's happened. I've been researching it, reading about it. So in Spanish law, there isn't a law. So the Liga was saying that, well, the law in Spain is a bit ambiguous. There's too many. So there's not even anti-discrimination law like the way it is here. Like if somebody racially abuses me, well, we can take him. You know what I mean? If the police get called, that person can be done. But hold tight, Xavi, because Xavi could have made this into a Barcelona Real Madrid thing. But he's like, no. If there's an insult, you have to stop the game. You have to stop this. Time to say enough is enough. And then he says here, I don't have to put up with insults and impudence of all kinds during my working hours. And that is where it is. To be fair, Britain, I mean, the UK can't really point fingers. We can't really point too much fingers. And the idea of him coming to Manchester United, Fred got a bloody monkey chanting at him by a City fan also only a couple of years ago. This is like 2 years ago.
I was there at the game. I seen the guy who did it. And it took them for a while to find out who the individual was. But he was dealt with a corner. He was given a ban. You know, you'd like to think England is kind of moving away from that in a sense because we're a bit more multicultural now. There's a bit more kind of, you know, in that sense. But ultimately, man, it takes a minority.
You wouldn't know the way our government carries on, Saeed.
Well, there you go. Yeah, exactly. We're going away with you know the kind of people
powers that be. The powers that be.
The powers that be. Yeah, you're right. So I think for me, solidarity with Vinicius Junior, man. But he looked like a guy who was like, you know, he's had enough. He looked like a guy who's just tired of the situation. So it is what it is, man. But listen, I've got to shoot, man. But big up to everyone who's here, man. Make sure you like the video, man. I don't know how many likes are we on, Nuruddin. How many likes are we on?
I don't know how many likes. So you listen, I've stopped asking for it now. I've stopped asking for likes.
No, we got to keep going, man. People, man, like the video. There's 154 people in it, and there's 77 likes, guys.
Disgrace. Not even 100 likes. Not even 100 likes. It's a disgrace.
You are disgraces, man.
Disgrace. Listen, you're worse than the Glazers. Saeed TV. Just go and check out. I think it was 231, if I'm not mistaken.
231, yeah.
Straight Jacket podcast. We went on there. We talked about Jim Radcliffe, and also about what what Dante came out and said. The club captain of Nice. So go and check that out. Very interesting and fascinating. Big up Walter Aaron for translating as well. Yeah, go and check that out, people. Saeed, are you going to be live? When are you next live on Saeed TV so people know?
I'm not tomorrow. I'm not going to be live because I'm in London tomorrow. But check out, there'll be a video out tomorrow about the Premier League player of the year. So check out that one tomorrow. Team of the year. So I'll be there tomorrow.
Love and light. Take care, bro. Peace. Tom, listen, Vinicius Junior, what league should you go to? Tom's gone as well. Looks like Tom's headed out. Listen, it is what it is. At the end of the day, we stand total solidarity with anybody suffering racism and anybody that a 22-year-old footballer should not be having to deal with the amount of racism that he's facing in Spain, where people are literally monkey chanting him. It's disgraceful, and we all, every decent human being on this planet should stand against that. Yeah, it's crazy. There should be a La Liga slogan for their anti-racism. Racism is not banter. No, but it is in their world, Winnie. Racism is banter. That's how they see it. They don't see it as like racism. And instead, what they do, the kid who's a victim of racism, they're victim blaming him, saying that he's the one that provokes it because he said that they should be relegated. But hold tight, Tom. Make sure you follow Tom as well. Tom Journalist 1. Big up to every one of you. Listen, we're on the road to 10K. To get more algorithm, the more you like the video, the better that we get more algorithm in terms of the algorithm and the videos. The more people see it, the more people then might want to become part of the community. So I don't have to like beg you to do it because you guys are moving like the Glazers. You guys are moving like the Glazers. 70, like, can we get 100 likes on the video before we sign off? 100 likes on the video. Let's go, people. Come on. Let's do the tally. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Hit the notification button because it lets you know when we're next live. And that's the way it is. Go and check out Saeed TV on all social media accounts and go and follow Tom Journalist 1 on Twitter. So get the likes up. Appreciate all of you guys. Big up to all you guys. We stand in total solidarity with anybody suffering harassment and abuse, and especially racist abuse. So all footballers, and we stand with Vinicius Jr. and every decent human being should be as well. So before we go, people, let me know how many likes we've got. Can you shout out Man UFC? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, big up to Mickey Ruby, Man UFC TV Realist. Make sure you go and check out his video. He premiered a video this morning, which I watched, quite informative, about the Qatari takeover, the possible Qatari takeover of Manchester United. Go and check that out. And he's all the man who's helped me with the photo of the basically the thumbnail of the video. So go and check that out. That's my proper thumbnail, me having a go. And thanks to Mick Ruby, Man UFC Realist TV. Go and check that out. Make sure you give the brother a follow. Go and check out his film. And they're gonna be live. Hopefully, I'll be there if I can. But 10 o'clock they're gonna be live talking about, I think, Manchester City and the media propaganda and the media double standards, where literally Man City are facing all of these charges, but then everybody's going on about how wonderful team and how great team they were. So yeah, so go and check out. There's the link. There's the link. People see that reminder. We go live at 10 p.m. tonight, talking about everything to do with Man City and all of the charges that Man City are facing. Big up to my brother for Culture Couture for the hat, loving the hat. So big up to you, brother. If you hopefully watch his video later, go and check out this, by the way. Go and check this out. Check this out, people. If you want this cap, go and check that out. I love the color. I love the green on the inside, red on the outside. United till we die, people. United till we die. Win, lose, draw, Glazers out, bankers out. Let's go, people. I don't think Manchester United are in any position to challenge Manchester City at this moment in time until we get rid of the Glazer vultures. And that means getting, I'm afraid to say, super wealth to take over Manchester United. Super wealth. Even everyone hate even to say it, but if white player was racially abused in an African or Asian Arab country, what would happen? That would never happen, bro. That would never happen. But big up to you, everybody. George, we cannot wait to see where you lose the FA Cup. I don't FA Cup final. Glazers piss off quickly then. Well, I don't know about that. Haaland swearing nothing has been done. Rooney, get banned. There we go. Double standards everywhere, innit? Double standards everywhere. But big up to every one of you. Win, lose or draw. Glazers out. Bankers out. Take care, people. Love and light. We'll see you hopefully tomorrow for... I'm going to do tomorrow night. We're going to do a Chelsea preview for tomorrow night. So big up to you. 10:35. Make sure you join us for that video. But United Therapy Army, you're always wonderful. Big up to every one of you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Make sure you go and check out Man UFC Realist TV at 10 p.m. tonight for the video looking at Manchester City and the double standards of the British media. Love and light, people. Take care. Make sure you follow Tom Journalist 1. Check out Saeed TV on all across social media. Win, lose or draw. Jim, the Radcliffe out. Glazers out. Peace, love, light. Take care.